All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 1883 Speaker Series. My name is Mike Wozniak, and I'm the Coordinator of Leadership and Programming in the Student Involvement and Parent Programs Office. In the next 18 minutes and 83 seconds, we will learn a new lesson on leadership, as well as some advice to guide our personal and professional development. For today's speaker, please join me in welcoming the Professor of Military Science at UND ROTC, Lieutenant Colonel Jared Budenski.
Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you guys coming in. Now, who here is by choice or forced to come here? Put your hands down, guys. So I appreciate the university allowing me to speak for the next 18 minutes and 83 seconds on leadership. So one of the things that the Army has are doctrinal publications. And one of those publications that I want to talk to you about and sort of reference and tie into some things about leadership is Field Manual 6-22, which is developing leaders. So leadership is the activity of influencing people by providing purpose, motivation, and direction to accomplishing the mission and improving the organization. So I said a few buzzwords: purpose, motivation, direction, and improving the organization. And I'll tie that in here shortly. So one thing I want to bring you guys all back to is about 1984, 1985. I know I'm dating myself, and probably some of you weren't born then. But as a kid growing up, everybody wants to be that leader, right? So in the southern part of the state of Minnesota, you know, as a young kid, we played Army, right? Everybody wanted to play Army, play out in the woods. And if you looked at my biography on the website, you saw something about Navy on there, and I'll go into that. No one plays Navy as a kid, right? Because you have the woods. But as a kid, you'd always try to, capture the fort, capture the flag, try to attack other people's positions. And lo and behold, a few years later, here I am. But the leadership aspect of purpose, motivation, direction, sort of got instilled in me, through high school, being a 2 to 3 sport athlete, through Boy Scouts, becoming an Eagle Scout, and then subsequently going on to college. Being a captain of a sport, started teaching you some of those attributes and competencies, which we have 6 total of those within the Army Leadership Requirement Model that we have. So going back to purpose, motivation, and direction, as you notice, out in the crowd here, I have part of my class here. So one of the reasons I had them come, because this is the time for folks to include yourselves. It's like, how am I going to talk about leadership? How am I going to instill or provide a path leadership from today, even going forward? So one of those methods and one of the attributes that I have that I want to talk about is character. I assume everybody in this room has some sort of character. Well, what does character mean? What does it mean to you? Well, what it means to me as I go through, it's a values that were developed when I was a young child, even up to the point before I joined the military. Because in the values, going into my 6 years when I was enlisted in the Navy, I had 3 core values: honor, courage, and commitment. Well, fast forward to that, now I'm in the Army. For those out in the crowd, how many Army values are there? 7, right? So we use that acronym called leadership: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. With that, those values continue to remain dear to my heart. Based off the profession that I chose, integrity is key. I am a military policeman by trade, and if I didn't have integrity, my character trait would not be where it's at. So along with character, one thing I'd like to talk about, and especially being here today, is being present. That is one key attribute within the ALRM that is a necessity. So we have a thing called military and professional bearing. So as you can see, I'm wearing the Army Green Service Uniform, the AGSU. We're bound to have, by wearing it like this way, we have standards and regulations how to wear it. Well, as a leader, what better way to demonstrate that ability on how to properly wear this uniform to wear it myself? And then, in regards to presence, you have to look and act like a professional. Because as I'm talking to you about leadership, how many eyes do you think are looking back on me? I'd say there's probably about 65, 70 of you guys from up here, right? So within that, talking about acting and looking like a professional, the Army profession has 5 characteristics. That one thing that I want to talk to you about is the foundation of those characteristics is trust. I assume everybody in here at some point has been given trust in something that you have done for a task, no matter is that assignment, that's something mom, dad, grandma, grandpa that have given you that you've tried to accomplish. And I assume everybody wants that trust. Sometimes, you lose that trust. Did I not accomplish a mission? Did I not do something right? And then as you go forward, trust is always given, right? Sometimes you can earn it, but as you continuously earn it, that's part of one of the characteristics that you want to keep. And that's one of the reasons why it's the bedrock of the foundation of the Army profession. But also in regards to fitness, in presence is fitness. So in our program, in the ROTC program that's over in the Armory, we do a lot of fitness. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So since I talk about fitness, right, we're actually having PT tomorrow at 06. Who all wants to join us? Just a few of you guys? Okay. So what does fitness mean? Fitness means more than just people doing push-ups, lifting heavy things, running around a track, right? But within fitness, also we talk about relationships. I assume everybody in here has a relationship with a professor, with parents, with an employer, and how do you develop that relationship? Is it a professional relationship? Is it something, how do you influence others to ultimately have a goal in mind towards the end? Is that part of fitness, is it physical? And not necessarily, the male, female, relationship or spousal relationship like that, but also the psychological aspect or the mental or behavioral health. What kind of fitness do you have? It's okay as a leader to have all that, and sometimes demonstrating that there are resources that could possibly help you. So one thing I like about fitness, and some of my cadets who are currently in the crowd, what I like to do, and specifically present, being engaged. One thing that our cadets over in our program can always, attest that cadre is always present. Some of them, out on the, when we're running around on the track or elsewhere, I always wear my identification tags, my dog tags, and I currently wear them now. One reason I wear them is when I run, they can hear them dangle, so they know I'm behind them. Hopefully, that provides some motivation to have them run faster. And sometimes, that's motivation for me to run faster as well. So, also one thing is, within an attribute, or correction, within a competency, is leads. Everybody in here wants to be a leader at some point in their life, or wants to be, or to lead something. What that something is, that's going to determine what you guys want. But Army leaders draw upon character, presence, and intellect while leading others. So within our organization, our ROTC, trying to mold a young college student who's just fresh into our program through these attributes and competencies into a leader that fits those attributes and competencies. And the one good thing, we do have a total of 14 cadets this year that will ultimately graduate from this institution with an academic degree and then subsequently commission as second lieutenants in the Army. And to be a little bit more specific, we have 2 of them that will actually graduate and commission here in December. So that's awesome. And within leading, and I talked a little bit about trust, right? Sometimes, we build trust. But has anybody ever heard we build trust along with like the speed of trust? And what I mean by that is how well do you trust somebody? Just not by a show of hands or anything, but has anybody ever been trusted with something for a project in here on school, a group project or something? Hopefully it'll uphold your bargain. Hopefully then you fulfill that requirement because a grade or something's associated with it. as you move forward. And at the end state, you want to accomplish something, right? And I assume most of you that you want to accomplish is what? A good grade in the class, right? So with that, and then building trust, the definition really is enables the ability of leaders to influence subordinates and have effective command and control. So within our organization, it is a cadet-run organization. So one might ask, what is a cadet-run organization? We as cadre apply mentorship and intent for our cadets. So within our cadets, we rely upon others. So I have a cadet battalion commander, a cadet command sergeant major, and subsequently throughout the staff. As I rely on others, there are certain things that they need to accomplish to ensure that everybody within our program is successful. Because if they are successful, who else is successful? We as cadre and our program and then the university, right? So speaking of relying on others, another key point is I have confidence in their abilities. Because when individuals join a program like ROTC, they want to excel at something. They want to join something that they want to succeed at. And I'm sure all of you, when you've come to a program, no matter what it is, an educational program here, whether it's aviation, the arts, the STEM program, nursing, you want to succeed. You never want to join an organization to fail. That's pretty a broad assumption, I would assume, right? And then, you want to have that consistency in behavior. What does consistency in behavior mean to you? I assume it's over the period of time that you're going to continue to have that presence, right? What does that presence mean? Is it showing up in class? Could be. Or how about I forgot my notebook, but, I might have a buddy that provides that for me. Or, is it you consistently, emailing your professor, I don't feel well, what kind of behavior is that? But leaders who commit to coaching, counseling, and mentoring subordinates build relationships that foster trust. One thing that is pretty dominant within our organization is counseling. One senior mentor of mine, and that I've known for over 10 years, and literally I just talked to him today, said feedback is a gift. Has everybody ever heard feedback is a gift? Now, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. So what I mean by feedback is a gift, our cadets within our program receive a minimum of 3 counseling statements each semester. You get an initial one that talks about standards, what do you want out of the program or your class? Do you have any situations that might need help, course overrides? Do you have competing requirements? Trying to get to know you. Then subsequently, you'll have a midterm counseling statement that talks about up to that point, hopefully what grade you're getting. Are you missing any assignments? Are you missing PT, physical training? What are you missing? And then subsequently at the end, how well are you doing up to that point for that mid-semester or at the end of the semester? And what I can say is all of our cadets are doing very well in our program, and it's another chance to get to know individuals as they move forward in their career. And about building those relationships, sitting down with somebody and telling them, hey, you're doing something right. How does that make you feel? Feels pretty good, I would think, right? Having that dialogue with somebody. I was just talking to my boss here before I came in here, and he hangs his hat, or he's in Great Lakes, Illinois, and if you remember, it's sort of, for me, it's come full circle. I first started out in the Navy at boot camp at Great Lakes, Illinois. Now my boss, my higher headquarters, is located at Great Lakes, Illinois, but I went from the Navy, now I'm wearing an Army uniform, right? So, it's fostering and building that trust. And on top of that, as you build things, what do you want to achieve out of everything? Do you want to achieve a good grade? Do you want to achieve private pilot license? Do you want to receive, a certification or finish out a play? Whatever that may be within your respective academic field. But achieves our leaders' primary purpose is to accomplish the mission. And what I mean by that is when I went when I was going through, high school, everybody's like, oh, I can't wait till I get done with high school, right? So you get done with high school and it's like, what's next? Great accomplishment for everybody. So for me, I went to college. I went to a college down south in South Dakota. Some of you, has anybody ever been through the world's only corn palace? Dakota, Mitchell, South Dakota. That's actually where I had my commencement ceremony. I went to Dakota Wesleyan University. So if anybody, sometimes we call it the world's largest bird feeder. Sorry, Mitchell. But, accomplished the mission. And going back, as a little kid, tying back into why leadership. As a kid, I always wanted to serve. Didn't know exactly what that meant or what was that going to entail. But subsequently, I knew I was going to. I was 21 years old, wanted to go serve, go sail the world, per se. And what better way to do that is, I joined the Navy. And then subsequently joined up in 2000, and then who would have thought I'd have been on the other side of the world when the Twin Towers when they fell. And then subsequently after that, rode of some Navy ships and started establishing leadership, what was good, what was bad, and the way forward, and how do I strive to be that better leader. As I sort of tie that in here, you're going to have to, develop your own values, from home up till now. And then subsequently, if you join an organization, like the military or the Army or whatever branch, you're going to have some values that sometimes will tie into those values that you're just raised on, and then it might become a lot easier to you. And one thing for me is, the core values within the Navy was fine, and then subsequently when I joined the Army, and that's something I teach my kids too, especially respect for one another, because within character too, our culture in our program is very high because we treat everybody with dignity and respect, right? How do you talk to people? I think that's huge. Especially as a military policeman too, please don't raise your hand. I'm sure, anybody who's ever had the stressors of seeing the red and blues or the blues, depending on what state, pull up behind you and it's like, oh, what's going to happen? Most times if you treat somebody with, talk to them nice, treat them with dignity and respect, sometimes it goes a long ways. Sometimes it doesn't either. So, but all leaders, the point of that, all leaders understand that change is inevitable. And what does that mean? There's a lot of social change happening right now in the military as well. It's going to happen, because within our program, more specifically, we have folks from all over the country. It's a microcosm of society. And what I mean by that, everybody brings something to our organization for the better. And we know that change is happening, which is good. And then that allows us as leaders to prepare our organizations for that change. So one thing, talk about change, right? When I first got up here about 15, 16 months ago, one change that I did, instead of having PT every day, twice a day, based off schedules, I can condense it down to 3 days, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And there's days we'll have 65, 70 cadets out there, which is great. And that way it brings it together, because if there's an issue with somebody, guess what? You can work it out amongst, hey, I need help in this class, or I need help in here, and those solutions are found. So sort of recap, about leadership. One thing that I've always learned is, how do you influence others? How do you provide that purpose? How do you provide that motivation? How do you provide that direction? Can you do it? Will you be able to do it? One may only tell. But also, as you look at this photo right here, and this is our field training exercise that we did right down at Camp Grafton. And the cadets that partook in that exercise, you see a rappelling tower, because we do a lot of rappelling operations. Our cadets are getting instilled the Army values of leadership, as well as the attributes and competencies that the Army has through the Army Leadership Requirement Model. And as you see, you'll see our quote down there, second to none, fly as one. And that sort of encompasses our leadership as a whole. So once again, I appreciate you guys' time, allowing me to speak up here. It's a great time. It's good to see all these, smiling faces out here. And, I was going to make some people do push-ups in here, but, I didn't didn't really want people to do that. So, no, I appreciate everybody. And if you guys want to stay after, if you guys have any specific questions in regards to the Army or ROTC, I'm here, as well as I got about 26 cadets sitting right here in the black shirts. So I'm here. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, thanks to everyone else for coming. Join us next week when we welcome the CEO of Spectra Health, Mara Giran. Have a great rest of your week.